It's all recruiting today on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Here we go.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. And as soon as you guys become everydayers, I will appreciate you as well. But we are so new that we don't have everydayers. So if you just listen once, you will be an everydayer. So that being said, we are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which means it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get a $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Man, lots to talk about. We're the title of this show, where we're doing more portal talk, recruiting. So it's all recruiting, as I said in the cold open. It is portal talk. We've got another big commitment, three defensive guys before offense finally gets on the board this week. We'll talk about that and a little bit some targets that are visiting and some other big things going on with high school recruiting. But before we get into any of that, I have to congratulate Vandy because they have All-American on their roster. And that's a big deal at Vanderbilt because you go 2-10, you got all the turmoil that we've talked about over and over and over again. You've got all the negative. It's just negative here, negative there, negative here, negative there. But now Vandy can say, hey, we've got an All-American on our roster. Albeit it's the punter, but at this rate, it doesn't matter. Any good news is good. Any news is good news on that front. So there is hope. There is a little bit of hope right now. All right, and we'll talk about why there's going to be even more hope as we go. But I want to say congrats to Matthew Hayball for making the Walter Camp All-American team. He pulled in second team honors as the punter. So big up for special teams. So in a league where things are so tight, special teams is important. Teams like Georgia, teams like LSU, when they've had their run of punters, Pat McAfee will tell you this, punting is extremely important. It flips field position. You can create turnovers. You can do some damage in punt coverage. And having a good punter is actually a weapon. Having good special teams is a weapon, and it gives your team an edge because special teams, and anybody can see this, anybody can tell, and anybody that's ever coached will tell you how important special teams is in order to gain momentum. You ever make a big play on special teams? You ever seen somebody make a big play on special teams? It's huge. It turns the tide. You get a great punt return, things are good, right? Every successful game usually has one or two pivotal special teams plays, win or lose, depending on what side of that pivotal play you're on. So to have a weapon, an All-American weapon, in some part of your roster is a great place to build on, and why not start with special teams? So congratulations to Matthew Hayball. But don't let that distract you because this is portal season. And this is portal talk. We're going to continue our portal talk because for the third straight day, Vanderbilt has got a commitment, or at least one that we've talked about. They've gotten commitments before I was launched, but they've got now 4 commitments, right? 3 on defense, and now one big commit on offense. Yes, pun fully intended. All right. That big commitment is Steven Losoya. He's a big offensive lineman, versatile offensive lineman, 6'4", 305 from Mississippi State. But most importantly, with this one is he is not only a Middle Tennessee product, he is a Nashville product, a product of MNPS by way of Overton High School. Steven Losoya is a versatile offensive lineman who has experience at all 5 offensive line spots. He started his career at MTSU, right down the road in Murfreesboro. Played a little bit of tackle there, transferred to Mississippi State, then moved to the interior. Played mostly guard, but has a little center experience too. He's coming to Vandy. All signs are pointing to him being one of the guards, either right or left. That's still to be determined based on who the new offensive coordinator is. So this is huge, right? This is really, really good news because every coach will tell you, and in whatever OC comes in, he will tell you, and his O-line coach that he brings with him will tell you, coaches like versatility. And if you have somebody that can play all 5 offensive line spots, it gives you a lot more freedom than you think, right? You build depth. So let's say a key guy goes down. Let's say your center goes down. Let's say you have a rash of injuries. You have 2 centers go down. You have a tackle. Let's say you have to shuffle guys around. Teams end up doing that sometimes. Like Georgia had to do that at times. Like Amarius Mims went down inside and played guard, or Xavier Truss went down and played in the guard spot. You saw that in the game against Vanderbilt, actually, where Georgia had to shuffle some offensive linemen. Like that is a key element to coaching, is having versatile guys that can play multiple spots. Those guys are very, very valuable. So if someone can play all 5 offensive line spots, that means that they are extremely valuable. And he'll likely come in, compete for a starting job at the guard position, because let's be honest, Vanderbilt is in great need, let's say of all positions, but they're in great need of offensive line as well. And there's going to be some competition there. But looks like he's going to have a leg up there. So to have, like I said, to have experienced guys is great. To have guys that can learn every spot is great. But what is even more valuable about that situation, he's versatile. Injuries happen. He can move around. That's not the only thing, though. Like him coming from Mississippi State is also a huge deal because he brings experience. He brings leadership. Like he's somebody that can jump right in, and you don't have to worry about whether or not he's going to be able to handle these SEC stadiums, because he absolutely is. He already has. B, he has leadership. He's been in this league. He knows what it's like. He knows what it takes. So these guys, some of these younger guys, some of these more inexperienced guys, and we're going to talk about some targets that are coming from other places that could use some leadership and experience from an SEC guy, especially a guy that played in the Western Division, which is arguably the tougher division at this moment, but divisions are going away, so that's a moot point now. But somebody that can come in and understand how to play in these road environments, right? He played at LSU. He played at Georgia. He's played at Bama. He's played in Vaught Hemingway. He's played in some of the toughest environments in the country because he's in the SEC, and he will continue to play in some of the toughest environments in the country because he's in the SEC. Now, what he's going to have to get used to is playing home road home games, if that makes any sense, right? Home road games. There you go. Home road games, because the crowd is such in favor of the road team most of the time at Vanderbilt. He's going to have to get used to that. That's going to be weird for him. But knowing how to communicate, I think, is going to be key here. And knowing how to communicate, knowing kind of how each position needs to play also lends a hand to that versatility too. So him being able to make the calls, understand how, okay, we're going to Knoxville, we're going to Tennessee this week. So we need to develop a system that we can communicate, because it's going to be so loud. Like you're not even going to be able to hear yourself. You can actually function and make those calls and get guys right? You're not rattled by intimidating environments. So like you walk out into Death Valley, you're not rattled, or maybe it takes more to get you rattled. Everyone has their limits, obviously. But you're not like, say a guy comes in from the Ivy League, right? He's going to walk into freaking Baton Rouge and go, his eyes are going to be this big around, because he's not going to know what to do. That's valuable. right? Even if it is from Mississippi State, that place was a disaster. They were an absolute disaster. So we don't know exactly how good he is, but we know he's got size. He can develop. He moves well, and he's physical. That's all you need. You got experience, right? You got experience. Those are important pieces, right? Offensive line is important. You got to protect. You got to run. You got to run block. That's how you make plays. All right. So up next, we're going to talk a couple portal targets offensively. They're important pieces to the offense. One is visited. One is scheduled to visit. So stay locked. Here we go. As the weather gets colder, NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I can attest to this. I'm a FanDuel user myself. I love the player props because you have anytime touchdowns. You can bet on number of receptions. You can bet on yards. If you're a fantasy football player and you're somebody who when you bet puts a jinx on your bets, then bet against the guys. Do player props against the guys you're playing against, right? Like let's say for example, this week I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing Patrick Mahomes. So I might play a bunch of prop bets thinking, okay, either A, I'm going to win my fantasy matchup because he's going to have the worst game of his life, or I'm going to feast. I'm going to win money. Either way, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for you. Over-under, same game parlays, all of that good stuff. You can play that. So hit your money line bet. $5. That's all it takes. $5. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. And when I say kick off the NFL season, I mean kick off the torrent end to the NFL season as they march to the playoffs. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL. All right. Welcome back. Thanks for making Vandy or Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. I want to encourage you to look down in the bottom right-hand corner and tune into Locked On SEC after you get finished with me. Make sure you go check that out. Make sure you go check out our entire college network. So whoever you're a fan of, if you're watching my show and you're not a fan of Vanderbilt, you just want to see some good college football content, or you're a fan of the SEC and you're just looking at all the teams and just trying to figure out what's going on here. Well, I'm happy you're here. Hopefully you become an everydayer, and hopefully you check out some of the other great shows we have as well on our bevy of college team networks. And if you're a fan of a favorite pro team, there you go. Like the Atlanta Falcons for me, that's my pro team. The Tennessee Titans, I'm kind of like a in-betweener because I'm always going to support the NFL team in the town in which I live. I think that's just the right thing to do. I've spent a majority of my life in Atlanta, so I still consider myself a Falcons fan, but I've been living in Nashville for the last 15 years, so I've kind of adopted the Tennessee Titans as my team as well. They're the local team. Now, if I moved somewhere random that didn't have an NFL team, I'd probably just still be a Falcons fan, and that's it. But the Titans, they're here. I'm going to support them. There you go. Preds, same. Huge Braves fan. So those are all the pro team shows I would check out, and also check out my main man, my good friend Steven Willis over at Locked On Ole Miss. He's freaking killing it, man. He's got some great content going over there. So one of these days I'll reach levels of that. So, but it's going to take you. Subscribe, like, whatever you got to do. Jump on board. This is such a fun deal. So make sure you make Vandy part of your everyday routine. That being said, we're going to continue our portal talk here, right? We got some targets, right? Some guys that have visited, some guys that are scheduled to visit, and some guys that I want to talk about that could be long shots, that could be interesting gets and interesting weapons to the offensive side of the ball. These are all offensive guys, right? I'm an offensive coordinator. I'm a high school offense coordinator. So at heart, yeah, that's my soft spot, right? Offense, that's my soft spot. So we continue our portal talk. We start with wide receiver Abdur Rahman-Yeasean. I think I said that right. I hope I did. He's from Purdue, right? He started at Purdue in 2020. He visited Vandy this past weekend and had a really good positive experience. He said, what stood out to him was that the communication was great. He got all the questions answered. The hospitality was phenomenal. Nashville showed its best. The coaching staff, everyone was so nice, so great. So he had a great time here at Vandy. He felt very much at home. So that'll be interesting as he makes his decision. Maybe that'll stick, right? So what stands out to the Vandy coaches about Yeasean is that his leadership qualities and experience are probably the two most important things he can bring to the table. Leadership qualities are important because you need, now that you've lost Will Shepherd, now that you've lost Jade McGowan, you need somebody to step in there. London Humphreys too, who I think is going to Georgia. You need somebody coming in that's going to give you that experience, right? He's played in big games. He's played in big game environments. And like I said in the last segment about Losoya on the offensive line, I think as many guys as you can bring in that have played in big environments, the better. Because when the other guys are kind of like panicking a little bit, these guys are calm. Like, he's played in the Horseshoe. He's probably played in the Big House. He's played at Iowa. He's played at, he's heard the jump around. He's been in Big Ten country. Big Ten is big boy football as well. And Purdue has certainly been in some big games. They've certainly been competing in some big games, and he's done a great job as well. So that experience is second to none, and I don't have to, go over that again. But experience is key. Skill-wise, he's a skilled route runner. He does a great job of creating separation, which is great. He not only he's very precise in his routes, and sometimes that, or actually all the time, running great routes makes you faster, even if you're not, right? Because if you hit precise angles and you put yourself in a position to where you're walling off the defender from where you're trying to get to, you win. And he's a good job at doing that. So, like I said, that's part of his experience. That's part of practice. Those are reps that he's gotten against guys that are probably some of the guys he's getting reps against. He's probably playing in the league right now, probably making big plays in the league right now. So he's done a great job there. So he's got lots of potential here and a great opportunity for immediate impact in the best league in college football if he comes in. So Abdur Rahman-Yeasean. So time will tell. Maybe he'll commit. Don't know when his target date is, but we'll see. All right. Another big target, both literally and figuratively, is all Ivy League offensive lineman Jacob Rizy. Now, Rizy is scheduled to visit this weekend, but he would bring versatility to the offensive line group. As a grad transfer, he's got experience and obviously the related intelligence. And coming from Harvard, he's just got overall intelligence as well, but he brings in a lot of football IQ as well. Physically, he's powerful. He moves really well, which makes him a really, really strong puller. They ran the dart play a lot at Harvard, and you would see him pull around and just annihilate somebody, right? He's got a little bit of nastiness to him, and he's a strong puller, right? This gives him a chance to play guard a little bit too if needed. Like, let's say they get some big trees, some big redwoods over there at the tackle spots. Now Rizy can bump down inside and give us some much needed big presence, athleticism at the guard spot, right? He's, like I said, he's scheduled to visit this weekend, so we'll see how that goes. Now Rizy, the one thing that gives me a little bit of pause, with the experience and related intelligence he does bring, he is coming from the Ivy League, so he's not likely played in some of these big environments that you don't get in the Ivy League. So also he plays his pad level is a little bit high when you watch him. He's got really good strength, but his pad level is just a little high. So that's and again, some of the stuff that you see, it's not glaring things that you can't fix. You can fix these things. So there you go. That's Jacob Rizy. It's Jacob Rizy. So other couple of big targets, Jamoy Mays from Tennessee Chattanooga. He's a wide receiver. He'd be a good fit for Vandy. Somebody come in, bring in depth, rotational guy. He's got big play potential. He had a nice season for the Mocs. He racked up 1,000 yards. Didn't score much, but he did rack up a bunch of yards, which means he does find a way to get open. He could add some much needed depth, as I said. Another interesting target. I think this guy would be a big time long shot. Former offensive lineman from MTSU, Keelan Rutledge. He's all signs are pointing to Georgia Tech, and if not Georgia Tech's probably Arkansas, unfortunately. But he is a Middle Tennessee product. He played his high school ball in Franklin County, so we would love to get him. Keelan, if you're listening, Vandy. It's the Vandy Renaissance, right? So. Those are a couple portal targets that we're going to key in and focus on today. These are guys that have visited, and the Vandy's most definitely interested in these guys. So we're going to wrap the show up next segment with a glance at the 2024 commit list. That's right, Vandy does still recruit high schoolers, so stay tuned. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has all the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. So from LinkedIn Jobs, there was a couple of opportunities. Now, I honestly, they do a good job of kind of sorting through things. Now, I have never been hired from LinkedIn Jobs because I work in education. They don't really hire from there, but I think that, when you look at LinkedIn Jobs, they do a really, really good job of having all the information that you could ever need, right? All of your follow-up questions, all of the things you would probably ask in an interview, you can find right there, right? You can find at least a jumping off point. Right. So it's important to have quality candidates. Now, if you're on the other side of the coin, if you want quality candidates are going to go through LinkedIn Jobs. This is what makes it easy to find them. LinkedIn is like the Facebook for professionals. So it's important to have quality candidates because you want somebody that's the right fit, right? You don't want somebody who you're not sure about, right? You're not going to benefit from somebody who comes in and thinks they know the world, who thinks they own the world, who thinks the world revolves around them, right? And you can, with LinkedIn Jobs, those guys aren't using LinkedIn Jobs. They're probably in the classified ads. They're probably on Craigslist. So you don't have to worry. They're not going to find their way over to LinkedIn Jobs. Right? If you're on LinkedIn Jobs, you got your head screwed on, right? So LinkedIn is not just another job board. It has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Now, whether or not they do anything with that is up to them, but they do get the candidates within 24 hours. So LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have time or resources to hire. Thankfully, LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, welcome back. It is our third and final segment. We're about to get out of here, guys. This has been a lot of fun, right? This has been a ton of fun. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the commits on this list, right? So when you look at the commits, more than I thought, right? The most recent one is Jamison Curtis. When you look at Jamison Curtis, he's a linebacker, right? You need some linebackers. He's from Saraland High School. I remember watching him. He jumped off the page. We were playing against Lipscomb in my lone season at Innsworth before Coach Batten, before he stepped away. But in doing that, we watched Lipscomb versus Saraland. Now, what jumped off the page at me was this guy named Jamison Curtis, right? He's an outside linebacker, 6'1", 210. I was thinking, thank God we don't have to play this guy. I mean, he just jumped, and I didn't know who he was at first. Like, I don't really know Alabama high school football. And I used to work for Rivals, but since I left Rivals, I don't really pay attention to recruiting as much as I should. Thankfully, the show allows me to do that. But Jamison Curtis really jumped off the page at me as an outside linebacker. He was somebody I was like, my God, this guy wreaks havoc, man. He's just fast. He gets off, he has good hands. He has a knack for the ball, and he disrupts. And when he gets there, he's bringing bad intention. All the cliche sayings that you have when you're watching a linebacker. Packs a punch, can't be blocked, can't be touched. And on the outside, he's somebody that's going to wreak havoc. Also, a lot of his clips are special teams, right? A lot of his clips are special teams. He's blocking punts, which is outstanding. Usually in high school, your key guys don't play on special teams because it is beneath them, and a lot of coaches will adhere to that. They'll say, "Oh, okay, it's okay. You don't have to play. You don't have to play special teams," and they just bow down to him. So, but Jameson Williams, again, has really good redirection speed. Pretty good in coverage. I'm watching him make an interception. Not sure why this is not his number one clip or one of his top 3 clips. I mean, I guess a fumble return for a touchdown is probably going to be your first clip. But nonetheless, very, very solid, very good outside linebacker. I think can do some good things if Vandy can hold on to him. If Clark Lee can get this thing turned around, which given the fact that he's got some NIL stuff happening, I think he has a really good chance too. So Jameson Curtis, somebody I'm excited for. Talking about the quarterback situation is very, very dicey. But you have a guy coming in, Jeremy St. Hilaire. He's committed from Macaulay, and Macaulay is a Division II private school located in Chattanooga. And those of you that are Tennessee locals understand what deep Division II AAA is. Really excited about Jeremy St. Hilaire. He'll be coming in to compete for the quarterback job. I think at 6'4", 220 has a good frame. With what Macaulay does, he's very, very calm. He can he's poised. He can do a lot of things. So it's going to be exciting. Kind of, he's a 5.7 Rivals ranking. He has a good, smooth delivery. Can run if needed. Can be participating in the quarterback run game if needed. Although that's not his primary game. Really good at throwing quick game. And just I say the words deceptively fast. I know what you're thinking. Oh, of course, because he's a honky, right? But this guy has really, really good feet. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a multi-sport athlete. But he's tough, strong, delivers a good ball, accurate, poised, and just looks like he has total command of everything, right? Just smooth in the pocket. So go watch his highlights. I implore you to do so. They're very, very good. I think his most recent ones are his junior season highlights, but that was from last year. So excited about that. A couple other guys. Lots of defenders in this one. You have Jalen Lackey, defensive back. He's committed. He is coming from South Gwinnett High School, so Gwinnett County product. He's played some big time high school football. That's good to see. You get some of these big time high school guys, and they're not shy in a bigger environment, right? And so that's kind of what you're looking for. So early signing day is right around the corner, a week from today. As you're listening. So we're going to break down all of our signees on future episodes. But you should sign up for LinkedIn jobs, by the way. So we're gonna take a look at that as we get closer. But as this portal thing unfolds, as basketball unfolds, as everything unfolds, we're going to get right to it. The schedule release is is later on. We'll talk about that, how Vandy's schedule shakes out in the new era of SEC football. But that's going to do it for us here. But this has been another portal edition of the Locked On Vanderbilt podcast. So the Locked On Vandy podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And in that same vein, we'll see you back here tomorrow. As always, anchor down, and we'll see you back here later. Peace.